If you want to add even more life to your stamps, then you want to learn how to mask. So that's what we're going to do today with a really cute set. So today we're going to use the Cutest Cows photopolymer stamp set, and normally you would use it with the Cow Builder. So this is the Cutest Cows and it's a builder punch, meaning that it has several different pieces and you build the image. So how you normally see that is you have the cow and then you have the little head cut out. And if you'd like to get the instructions on how to make one of these rocker cards, take a look at the link in the description below. I made some for Christmas time last year and they're super cute and super easy to make. So I've pulled out several of these stamps. We are going to use two of the faces, the lying down body. We're also going to use the little chick and the rooster. So we are going to play with those, and I want to show you how you can mask with any stamp set. So one of the things that you need for masking is you need something that has repositionable stick, and you can use your Post-it notes. They lose their stick much quicker than something like our masking paper. So this is a package of masking paper. There's 12 sheets that it comes in, which will last you a long time. And then I've got all of these ones that I've just cut things out of. Now what I do is I just put a pencil mark on the back, so because it looks very similar back to front, and so I want to make sure I'm stamping on the right side. So I'm just going to use this spare piece, a couple spare pieces, and I'm going to show you how we can mask. So you just need your stamp pad, and I'm going to pull in the little silicone sheet piece that actually goes with our glass mat. And you can still get this glass mat as of, it's August 2024 right now, and they are available in our online store. What's great about this is that your stamp will fit right inside here and then it won't slide around on the glass. So you need a couple stamps, and what you want to think about when you're masking is what part do I want to see peeking out from behind, or what do I want to see front and center? So we are going to create a lying down cow, and there's going to be another cow lying behind it whose head is peeking over the body. And so I'm going to stamp these onto my masking paper, and I'm just going to get them as close to the edge as I can. And I'm just using the same ink that I'm going to use for our card. So we're just going to stamp all of these fellas here. I don't know why they're fellas, but it doesn't matter that you stamp them straight or not. And then we're just going to put all of this aside, and we're going to use those again. And then you need a pair of scissors. I would use small scissors like our paper snips. What's great about these is that they have a very small shank, but they're super sharp. I've had mine for quite a long time, like years. I'm talking 20 years, and they are really sharp. All I do is sharpen them up by cutting into a piece of tin foil. And that keeps them really sharp. And every once in a while, I will clean them off with an alcohol wipe, so it just gets rid of any stickiness that might be on the blade. So what you're thinking about here is you're not really fussy cutting. So if you've seen some of my blogs on fussy cutting on my website, which is designwithjo.ca, then you'll know that I like to leave a river of white. For masking, you want to get right into that line. If you go around, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to create what's called a halo. So I'm cutting really right on the chocolate line. So I'll hold this up and show you in just a minute. Okay, so you can see there's a little bit of brown, a little bit of the espresso right here. That's great. That's what we want. We don't want to have any white showing on the outside. So I'm going to just cut this as close as possible. I'm going to cut all of these as close as possible, and then I will do that in really fast motion so that you don't have to watch me. But I want to show you what we do after, which is where the magic happens. Now I realize that that looks like a lot of work, but you only have to do it once. So when you do it once, you can reuse these pieces over and over again, many times. And so you only have to cut it once. And so don't worry if that seems like a lot of work. You're going to get lots of great cards out of this design. Okay, so what you need to do now is you need to take the backing off. So I find it easiest to take my nail and just sort of separate. And it's easier if I separate from the backing than trying to pull off the other. Now, I'm hoping that you can see that there is a little bit of shine and that is sticky, but it's not super sticky. It's not like adhesive. So we're just going to take these off for all of them. Again, try and take the backing off side first rather than trying to go from the front is what I found to be the easiest. But even then, you might have to just hold your mouth just the right way to get these apart. And again, you're only going to need to do this one time, and then these just go in the garbage and you have your pieces that are done. And you're going to reuse these several times. This piece, it wants to come super easy. Okay, so now that we have our pieces, what we need to think next is what needs to be in the front. Now I want to show you the card so that you can see what we're aiming towards. So here's our card, and so we have our cow sitting in the front, and we have the one that's in behind. Now maybe he's standing, maybe he's lying down straight behind, so we can't see his body, and that's great. So you have to think, what do I want to see first and foremost? So for me, it's the head. This head of this cow right here is the one that we want to see first. Then the second thing that I want to see is this cow's head because it's leaning over the body. And then the third thing is the body. So let me show you how we do that. So you can get all the measurements for today's card on my blog. And what we're going to do first is we are going to stamp that cow's, not that cow's, I'm sorry. We're going to stamp the one that is not winking at us. So we don't need this one quite yet. We're just going to go ahead and stamp that, which is this guy right here. Pull these in a little closer. So I'm just using my Early Espresso. And I'm just going to stamp that about here. And I want him to be just tilting his head a little bit. So that's the very first thing that I want to see. The next thing that I want to see is going to be, oh, and I see I've lost this fellow's ear, is the next cow. So in order to get this to work, what I need to do is I need to place the mask right over top of what I've just stamped. I'm not going to be stamping anything here, so I'm not going to worry about the ear, but if you wanted to, you could just set that in there. Don't throw it away. Now we're going to stamp the other face. So the other face is going to go in behind, and it's going to go right over top of the body when we get the body in there. So you can see there are some places where it's overlapping. So it's overlapping right here on this ear, and it's overlapping just a tiny little bit on this cow's cheek, and that's perfect. But we don't want to pull this off yet. Don't get too excited because it looks a little bit like a dog's breakfast, I'm going to say. So now you put the next one on, okay, and then you put it right over top of that other face, and then we're going to do the body. So we're going to do the body here. It's upside down. Do the body here. Now think about the body. I want that face to be sort of resting his chin on the body. So let's put that like that. Okay, so again, it's going right over top. So again, these are going to look sort of yucky. We're going to also mask this off because I have a little bell, and the bell is going to come over here. Okay, so the bell is just going to peek out. Okay, so we're not going to see the whole bell. And now what we're going to do is we're going to actually stack some of those, the rooster and the chicken, on top. So the rooster is going to be first. So we're going to leave our masks on. It'll look great once we take these masks off. Because it's photopolymer, I can see pretty good, and I'd be able to probably to get that on top of that cow's head. But the masking is going to make it even easier. So I'm just going to stamp this here. Okay, oh, look at that. I missed a tiny bit. No big deal. Now we're going to stamp the chicken on this guy's head. I'm just going to move it down so I can get my head a little closer. Okay, so he's right on top. And then this little teeny weeny chick is going to go on top of the rooster. And again, we're going to get him right there on top. So you can see with that last one, I didn't worry about masking it because I can see fairly well. So this is the only one that he looks, he's just touching the top of the cow's head. So now what we're going to do is take off the masking paper. And what I do is I keep my stamp case and I just put it inside. So let's just pull off these guys here. And again, that's why you can reuse them and put them right inside your case. And if it's hard to get them off, just pull them off. And I usually try and pull them off in the same order that I put them on. It's just easier because they're going to be overlapping in that order. So just carefully pull them off. So then what you're left with is, this guy is behind the full face and he's just leaning over and resting his chin on his back. And you can see where the bell is sort of coming from behind here as well. So there we have our masking. I'm going to put that ear back in there as well. Now I'm not going to show you the coloring. So I have one here that is colored. Okay, so this one here is very, very similar. You can see, and I've colored it. Now I want to show you another little trick, because when I colored, you can see that outside some of the edges, I went beyond. So I used my Stampin' Blends, and there's a bunch of different colors here. And to see all the colors, you can check it out on my blog, again, at www.designwithjo.ca. And all the supplies and measurements for the card are there as well. And what you can see is all the different colors that I used, and I did a lot of different blending. But what you can do when you have that is we're going to make it look like that was intentional. So we're going to create a shadow all the way around. So I'm using the, which one? The gray granite, and I'm going to use the, you could use probably this tip. This is an older version of our current ones, and this is a very narrow tip. The new ones have a much broader tip. So I'm going to use the brush tip, and I'm just going to lightly go around, just creating a shadow all the way around. Now, first I'm going to start just doing it on the left and see whether I need to do the other side. So this is a tip for getting more realistic looking images. Even though this is sort of a cartoony looking guy, you can get a little bit more realistic. So you don't have to be especially even here. You're still going to get a lot of the shadow. Now, I don't think we're going to see much of these, but I'm just going to do that anyway. Now, you want to do the same thing on the little chick here, as well as on the rooster. And then you won't even notice where some of that other color went. So that's how you can create a little bit more interest in your piece. Okay, so let's finish off this card. So what we're going to do, I have a piece of our cardstock here, some Poppy Parade, Early Espresso, a little bit of Daffodil Delight. And before I put it down, I'm going to do one more little technique. And the technique is going to be just adding some splatter to the back of this. So what I do is I just take my brush tip, and you want to be gentle with this. Take your brush tip, put it inside the cap, and then just flick it out. And you don't want a huge amount. You really just want some in behind. It's going to add a lot of interest to your piece, and it goes all over. So now what we're going to do is we are going to glue that down just using my liquid glue. And you can see where it's all come through, and you can see I stamped here. I stamped the body first and then realized that nope, that wasn't what I wanted to see the most of. So we're going to glue this down. And it's a little bit offset, this piece. That's why there's a little bit of Daffodil Delight, just to give it a little bit more interest, and it's going to match with our piece, our birds as well. And I have stamped out Holy Cow already, just using our espresso as well on top of a piece of Daffodil Delight. And that's going to go down here. Now you could have waited to do your spattering if you wanted and spatter all over the words. You could do that. I chose not to. And then we have an inside piece here where I've just stamped the cream can, and it's your special day and milk it for all it's worth. And that's just going to go on the inside of the card. So I hope that that is a fun technique that you're going to try, because it really does add a lot of extra life into your stamps and creates a super cute card in this case. And you can see how I've colored them quite differently. So really go to town with your markers. You can use your colored pencils to color them in, but it just gives you a really fun card. Thanks very much for joining me. Please hit that subscribe button. As well, if you'd like to get my regular email I send out every week, head on over to designwithjo.ca and get yourself signed up. Thanks, and have a great paper crafting day.